Hi everyone. Today we're going to look at Outriders' crafting system and how to easily identify what to do with it. Because you have limited resources and you don't want to misappropriate your spending because it makes life harder. So what I'm going to show you here is the basics of the crafting and a little bit of higher level crafting items and how that works out. So first we're here at Bailey looking at the vendor. I'm just going to purchase a few things off of her, show you some examples of crafting and how the level of the item makes a difference and how to upgrade your items efficiently. So what I'm looking at here is all of her items will be your maximum item level for many of the vendors. That's important because sometimes it's cheaper to buy new gear than it is to upgrade old gear as far as efficiency. So I'm just going to buy a few things here so we can look at them and go in from there. When you talk to Zahidi, he's of course your main crafting guy. And when we look at him, a quick way to disassemble stuff you want to disassemble, it'll list it down here instead of going through each item slot in your inventory. So what I'm going to show you here is one of the basics of crafting, including the mods. If you look on the skill to the right of it, just above in the right corner, you'll see a little square grid icon. That indicates you've already unlocked the mod for that. So if you see on Bloodshock here, I've already unlocked it. That little top right icon shows you I've unlocked it. The red icon means I already have it equipped on one of my pieces of gear, so you don't duplicate your gear. If you look at Thirst for Blood, however, I have not unlocked that yet. So if I disenchant this item, then you'll see that it will unlock that gear. And I actually might use that one. So let's show you that right here. So I'm going to disenchant that after I look at my mod list to show you how that's going to apply. So if you go to mod gear, tier 2, you see what I have unlocked. It's not much, this is a newer character. And then if we go back and disenchant Thirst for Blood, we can just select the one that we're not that's not in the crafting slot in the middle, and then that'll allow us to disenchant it. So I'm going to mark that, disenchant it, and if we look at our mod options, we will now see that we have Thirst for Blood somewhere in this list that they really need to number or alphabetize in order to facilitate finding them in the list. Once you get a bunch of them, it's kind of a pain to find them. So there's Thirst for Blood. It wasn't there before. And then the next basics of crafting are that when you swap a mod on a piece of gear, you can only swap that one piece permanently. That gear will basically lock the one you do not mod, so you can never switch that around. So when you're looking for gear, you're going to look for gear that has one mod that you like, and it doesn't matter what the other one is because you're probably going to swap it out anyway. And another thing about modding gear is that the mods will have a different effect based on the item level. So you'll see here on the Mask of the Mortal Embrace, I've got the Sharpened Spike ability. Impale deals 4,429 more damage. If you look over here on my legs, I've got an ability that doesn't depend on the level of the gear. The Rivers of Blood. Impale increases skill damage by 50% to enemies affected with bleed. So that is less effective on a higher level gear than it is to switch it to lower level. So this is item level 31, 4,429 damage on Impale, and this is level 33. So what I'm going to do is swap the Sharpened Spike to the higher level gear, and you'll see how that changes. So we're going to do Sharpened Spikes, and it is going to show me the red icon in the top right of the ability showing I have it equipped already. It's on the piece I'm swapping. So if I put it on a level 33 gear, it does 5,792 as opposed to 4,429. So when we're first leveling, it's important to kind of keep an eye on that if you're swapping your items around so that you can get the best bang for your buck. It's going to cost some leather. We'll switch that over. And now I've effectively increased the amount of my Impale by over 1,000 damage there. And then, since this isn't lower item level, I'm going to put my 50% extra damage and bleed, because that is not dependent on level on that one. And in that way, you can kind of boost your damage a little bit just by shuffling mods around while you're leveling. When you have all your items the same level, it won't matter as much, but for now, that's important. The next item in crafting, aside from looking at maximizing the level of the gear that you have a mod on, is that it's really expensive to level up epic gear, especially as you get to higher levels. You see this one is 16 to increase, but that will grow as I creep up in item level. You see how that's 28 to increase? And titanium's tougher resource to get generally. The only reason I have any is I fed some from a higher level character into my stash, pulled it out, and then I got rid of it. So if you're stretched for titanium, I'll show you how to get more titanium. If you have extra gear that you just want to vendor, and so what I typically will do is I'll disenchant gear that has skills on it I want the shards for. Shards are how you upgrade your stuff, and I'll show you that as well. So if you look here, if I disenchant this, see the 3 skills. The little icon to the right shows you that you're going to get shards for disenchanting that gear that improves skill life leech. So if you disenchant that, you'll get the skill life leech shards. So go ahead and do that so you can see that. You will not get an Anomoly Power shards, you won't get cooldown shards. You'll get skill life leech shards. If there's an icon to the right, you'll get shards for that ability. So what I will typically do is I'll disenchant things that I know I'm going to want the stats for to increase, and then you can vendor extra stuff to Bailey that you don't care about the skills on. So if I don't want Anomoly Power, I mean I will for this build eventually, but let's say I didn't want it as an example. Then I would just vendor that, and then you get some scrap for it. And then you can use that scrap to purchase titanium from Bailey. So you can purchase your titanium from Bailey and use that to upgrade your gear. And then the other item I'll show you is that the drop pod resources, once you get to expeditions, you can also sell drop pod resources if you choose to get money. I don't have much on this character, but you can see you can sell those and get scrap, and then trade the scrap to get more titanium. So that's a good way to up your titanium once you get higher tier in the expeditions, because the higher tiers give a lot of drop pod resources. The lower tiers do not, so you probably want to save those. I'm just showing you that as an option for upgrading your gear. Now, the other thing with crafting is improving the stats on the item. That's going to take the aforementioned shards, and if you hover over your shards here, it'll show you how many of each type you have. And as I said, I've been vendoring ones that don't have skills I want for the most part, and I have been disenchanting or dismantling the ones that I do have that I do want the stats for. So you can upgrade any of the stats that exist on the gear by using shards. And it's kind of wasteful to do it if it's an item you're going to replace, but again, I'll probably replace this sometime soon, but I'll go ahead and show you how to raise the attributes. And that'll cost 99 shards. Now, if you know you're going to level up the gear, you might not want to do this until after the gear is leveled up, because once you level it up, I'll go ahead and max out Anomoly Power. Once you level up the gear, it's going to cost even more shards, and I'll show you that here. So if I raise the attributes of Anomoly or Healing or anything to max, what's going to happen is that's maxed out up to 6 different increases. When I level it up, the percents will go down based on the level, and then you have to pay again to increase it back to maximum increase. So if you know you're going to level up the gear, you want to save that and then do the shards after you've leveled up the gear, otherwise you're wasting shards. And that's the basics of how you increase the abilities already present on the item. Another good thing to know is you saw how much titanium it costs to level up an item, right? So once it's purple, it's going to cost you titanium. But if you pick up blues or greens, the leveling up is a lot less expensive. So if you have a blue or a green that you want to level up, it's only going to cost leather, or if it's a weapon, it's going to cost you iron in order to level up that gear. So what I'm going to do here is see if we take these this green here. What happens with greens is when you improve the rarity, you want to get it to your maximum level first before you improve the rarity. If you improve the rarity, you're going to start paying titanium to level it up. This one's already to my current level. I'll show you with this gun, actually, that'll be a good example. So if I level it up as a blue, it's going to cost me iron. However, if I improve the rarity, it will start costing me titanium. So if I want to get this and keep it, it's not a very good item, but I'm showing you. I want to level it up with my iron first, and then I want to improve the rarity, because that will cost you less total titanium than improving the rarity and then leveling it up afterwards. So now I have a purple, and when you improve the rarity, you get a choice of a mod to apply to the item. And it'll also show you that little grid icon in the top right if it's one you already have. So if I'm just going to smash this later and get a mod out of it, then I might want to pick one I don't already have. Or I'll want to pick one that I want to use and then swap out the, say, critical point or something for the new item. So since you can only mod one item permanently on that item, or one mod permanently on that item, then you can pick one you like and replace the old one. So now this is Bone Shrapnel, Damage Link, and Long Range Hammer is kind of wasted, healing receive, whatever. But it just shows you that you can get better mods that you actually like on that item. And then the last thing I'm going to show you is upgrading a green rarity. When you improve the green rarity, it's only going to cost you either leather if it's an armor piece, or it will cost you iron if it's a weapon. When you improve the rarity, you're going to get a choice of one of your class mods the first time you improve it. The second time, you'll get one of the general tier 2 mods as options. So I'm just going to choose Restoration, just to show this. And again, the same mechanic applies. If you're leveling it up, it's cheaper to level it up first before you improve the rarity. Now I'm going to improve the rarity again to show you how to get a purple. And then that's going to give you a tier 2 mod as an option. I'm going to choose Emergency Stance on that one. So now I have a chest piece that was just a green that I purchased off of Bailey. It has stats that I'm looking for an Anomoly Power build. I like Anomoly Power, Status Power, and Cooldown Reduction if I'm going for those stats. So you can actually improve your gear drastically just by shopping the vendors and picking up items that have the stats you want, even if it's not even purple. So if it has stats you like, you can pick it up for cheaper as far as scrap's concerned, and then you can improve it and get the mods you want. So your best things that are most efficient to find are blues that have one mod that you like and have stats that are rolled well. If the stats are rolled well and it's a green, then you don't know what that mod is going to get put on it the first time through. So it's a little bit more of a gamble. But if you stick with the blue, you know if it's one of your first pick mods that you definitely want, it's going to keep that mod, and then whatever the second one is, it won't matter because you can substitute that out for something else. Bailey also sells leather and iron. So if you look at your leather and your iron, you can see you can fill up your leather or iron based on using scrap. And then when you get in the higher tiers of the expeditions, you can sell the drop pods for the scrap, as I showed. And I can hop over to another character real quick, and I'll show you when you sell the drop pod resources, it's a little bit over 12,000 drop pod resources to completely fill up your scrap. So I'll switch over here to my Pyromancer, who is my max tier soloist. It can solo tier 15s. But since you solo tier 15s, you get way more drop pod than you can ever deal with, really. So you just want to sell that down whenever you need to. And I'll show you selling the drop pods, and then that'll show you how to get all of the resources you need. There are different ways to get them, but once you're toward end game, this is kind of the primary way. So I can just buy all sorts of stuff, put it in my stash, put it on my other character, and sell those to give him money and resources, or you can disenchant them. It kind of helps prop up your lower levels, but if it's your first time through, you won't have that option. So you want to stick with trying to put your good mods on the highest level you have equipped that have flat damage, and then your percent increase items on the lower level ones, so that you can optimize your damage that way. So we'll go ahead and I'll just buy a bunch of titanium. And if I have a full bag of money, you can get about 3,000 titanium for a full bag of money. And then once you get over here, you can sell your drop pod to Tiago. And once you sell those to Tiago, you don't want to oversell it because then you'll just drain all your drop pod and not fit the cash. But as I said, it's close to 12,000 to get 999,999 resources. And this toggles back and forth. It kind of makes you crazy because it goes faster the longer you hold it. So 12,800 for 999,999 scrap. And that fills up your money. And 12,000 resources once you get to the higher tiers isn't really that expensive. And that's the easiest way to get scrap when you're in the higher tiers. And we'll go back over here and I'll show you a little bit of the higher level mod slots because I didn't mention this. Your mods are broken down into 3 tiers. And your first tier are all going to be class skills. Tier 2 are going to be everything else, aside from legendaries. So Tier 3 comes specifically off of legendaries only. Tier 1 are class skills, and Tier 2 is everything else. And so the more legendaries you get, even if they're lower level, you'll want to, instead of leveling them up, a lot of times it's less expensive to just go ahead and disenchant them and move the mod to a higher level item. So I'm going to hop back over to my Devastator here, who's only level 28. And then I'll show you how you can get legendary mods from a low level item. And you can move them to your other items. So if you look here, I've got String of Goss ability on this pistol. If I don't want to pay to level it up, I can just take this out. Then I can disenchant it or disassemble it, and that will unlock the String of Goss as a tier 3 mod for me. And then I can run over here, talk to Zahidi, and put it on whatever weapon I want to put it on. And as I said, once you have locked a slot by switching out the mod, that will be the only slot you'll be able to switch out. So if you look here, I do not have the Striga mod unlocked yet, so I'm not going to swap that out because that's not going to unlock the mod for me later when I disassemble that. So I'm going to put String of Goss to replace Toxic Bullets. So if you push left click, it'll put in slot 1, this one. If you push right click, it'll put in slot 2 over this one. So I don't want to override a mod I don't have yet. That's really important when you're subbing into legendaries because you usually don't want to destroy your legendary mod slot, at least if it's one you haven't unlocked yet. So I'm going to mod that, and now I have a legendary ability on this purple, which is pretty handy to have. And I'll show you again, it does 2,713 electric damage. Now if I level this up, that damage goes up to 3,102. And if I level it up again, 3,547. Just kind of stresses the importance of having your best mods on your, the damage-based mods at least, on your highest level items. And if it's a percent one, then, or hitting extra targets, that's not going to change based on the level. So you want to put those in your lower level gear as you're gearing up. And that's the basics of the crafting here, with a little bit of touch into what the end game will bring you. Just so you have a good idea of how to do the crafting and what's good to work on here and the efficient uses of your limited resources. I hope you enjoyed the video, and you guys have a great day.